This weekend's a little bit weird for me, man. I'm missing college football already. 1 week off. I can't wait. I need the bowl games to start right meow. I need college football and the NFL in my life all the time.
Well,
Well, didn't your
unfortunately
boy
for you,
Well, hold
you got a
on.
little
Didn't
bit of ways
Michigan
to go.
get the number one seed in college football playoff for you?
Numero uno.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, bro. If they go down to Alabama again, I'm gonna laugh. I'm sorry, I'm gonna laugh on themselves. It'll be funny for you, but damn, I hope they beat Alabama though, bro. Like they beat Alabama this time, but
Hey, listen, I'm going to quote a really wise man here. Everybody's like, oh, didn't you want Florida State? Da, 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 da. It's a better matchup. It's a better matchup with them. I said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo!
Facts.
So I know you're missing college football, Brennan. We have a college rematch for you on Sunday. Bengals versus Indianapolis Colts. Gardner Minshew versus Jake the Snake Browning.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
in
Washington State, right?
Washington versus Washington State. They played in 2018 in the Apple Cup here in Washington. It was called the Snow Bowl because it was snowing so bad. That year, Washington won 25-18. They were, I believe, they were the 17th or 15th ranked, and Washington State, or we call them the Cougars here, they were 8th ranked. Jake Browning beat them.
So Jake Browning's beating Gardner Minshew?
Amen.
I like it. I like it. That's a good way to start this show. Welcome to Running Through the Jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, with your host, Tim Lyons and Justin Lacey. What's up, fellas? How is it doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's cold and chilly, but you know what? That's December this time of year, man. It's fall football. We getting ready to go into the winter months. Holiday season's around the corner, so we get to see some of our teams push for a nice little playoff spot here.
Tim, you're probably a few weeks away from ice fishing out there in the Pacific Northwest, aren't you?
Yeah, it's not supposed to actually get that very cold here this year. They're actually calling for more rain and warmer, but it's been soggy outside. It's Washington.
Man,
It's
rain in
raining.
Seattle. That's weird.
Well, wintertime is our soggiest time of the year. So
Huh.
Santa might be coming in on an inner tube. He ain't coming in on a sleigh. He ain't gonna have nowhere to hide.
Gotcha. Well, hey, man, I'll tell you that opening intro from Mod, I appreciate very much. He did a good job with it. But it might need updated again because I'll be damned if we didn't get us another dance show in all white unis. The White Tiger is good for the dance shows. Good for the dance shows. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was
Mixon,
pretty cool.
Jackass.
yeah, Mixon immediately got all those guys over and wanted to dance. I loved it. Loved it.
Orlando Brown Jr. He dropped the jackass line on afterwards, bro. That was classic. That's the only thing I remember about that dance. So, shout out to OB Jr., bro.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. Everybody made a big deal about it. Who cares? Like,
Right.
you guys know I'm a Michigan fan. Our coach threw up F-bombs earlier this year when we beat Penn State. Like our assistant coach that was watching it, Sharon Moore, it was the acting head coach because of Jim Harbaugh's suspension. So that was, whatever. It's a passionate game. People, we've all been in locker rooms before.
Could
It's
you
not a
imagine?
place you want to take children.
Could you imagine if all of our players were mic'd during the game? All we would hear
Oh
was
man,
beep, 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 beep.
man. Oh, you couldn't have mic'd me. Oh, playing a baseball game, you couldn't have mic'd me. Good Lord. I'd have been turned in. I'd have been bad. Um, listen, we got the 7-5 Colts in the playoffs right now, if they ended today. Playing the 6-6 Bengals. I mean, both backup quarterbacks in there. You know, what do we expect from this game? I mean, I expect it to be a very competitive game. The teams are very close to each other. A lot of my friends, Michigan friends, were in Indianapolis last weekend for Big Ten championship. So you
Mhm.
just took 70 over to 75 and boop boop, and you're right there. Um, I don't know. What do you see in this game? I'm gonna kick it over to you, Justin. What do you see in this game as far as we're just gonna focus on the Bengals here? Their biggest opportunities and your biggest concern going against this Indianapolis Colts team. Not in our division, don't know a ton about them. Let's be honest, the AFC South has been kind of an afterthought the past couple of years. But here we are, 7-5 Colts. What are your thoughts on them?
Well, I'll start off with the biggest opportunity that the Bengals have, and that is to knock them down a peg and get a tiebreaker game win over them. If they were to come out Sunday with the win, at that point, both teams would be 7-6. They'll be knocked out of the playoff spot picture at the 7th seed. The Bengals wouldn't be in the 7th seed because they still got to leapfrog a few other teams. But depending on how other things shake out with other teams in front of them, the Bengals are just going to just etch themselves as one game closer to that wild card spot for whether if it's the 5, 6, or 7th seed. Um, I think that the Bengals have a great opportunity to obviously do that. I also think the Bengals have a great chance to reestablish themselves like they did on Monday night against the Jaguars on the road. This time they're at home to fulfill a much more rejuvenated and enthusiastic crowd that was just lifeless after seeing Joe go down. It felt like that there was really no hope after we saw this team did not perform up to expectations and standards against Pittsburgh the last time they were at home. But after the Monday night game, this crowd, I'm sure that they're in a frenzy now. Looking at Jake Shiesty here. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to call him Jake Feisty just to separate the nicknames here. Performing the way that he did, they're the crowd and the fan base is just rejuvenated to see if this team can perform an encore. And I think that the Bengals have the opportunity to do that here. This Colts team, while I do like that they are a scratch and claw, and I feel like every game that they've been in has been somewhat of a dogfight, including last week's game against the Titans. Let's just keep in mind that the Tennessee Titans are not that great of a ball club. They are now officially in that rebuilding status, starting Will Levis at quarterback. He has some potential, but the Colts, they could have lost that game too, just like how we lost against the Titans back in week 4. But that was like a distant memory ago. I think that what concerns me if you're this Bengals team is the defensive side of the ball. I'm just going to call it right there. And the reason why I say the defense is because we have still not seen the ability for us stopping tight ends in coverage. It can be the most average tight end of all time. And yet he can have his one get off game against the Cincinnati Bengals because the defenses haven't been able to find a way to cover tight ends effectively. I also think that the Colts are a pretty young wide receiver core team led by Alex Pierce, who's a former UC Bearcat. I've shouted him out a few times before. He's a great young player, and I think that he's going to do some pretty good things. Gardner Minshew, he does have like this sort of pizzazz to him, this energy to where people love playing around him because he's just a fun guy, a fun-loving guy. But the talent
Minshew magic, baby.
Minshew Mania, man. We all remember Minshew Mania with the shoe stash. And everybody liked it, that man. And he's a fun guy to play for. I ain't gonna lie. I wish he
He's
was
a
one of
wrestling
the
character.
quarterbacks.
He really is.
He is. He's Hulk Hogan if he was like 40 years younger. That's what I think of Minshew Mania right now. But at the end of the day, I still think that while I do have concerns on the defense side of the ball, I do not think the Colts are the team that can expose them immediately after the Bengals played on the way they played on Monday night, coming back at home, now you got to come on the road if you're a Colts fan. I'm sure Colts fans are going to probably travel for that game because it's only 100 miles away from each other. But there is concerns. But overall, I think that the Bengals understand the glowing opportunity that they understand. Bro, we ain't dead yet. Y'all saw what we did on Monday night. We ready for them boys.
I can't hear 100 miles without like hearing 100 miles and running in my head. It's crazy. Old head, gangster rap. Ugh, I gotta stop it. Yeah, I agree with you on that, on those, definitely on the opportunity side of the ball. Anything scare you from them? I mean, what do you got, concerns with
Yeah, I
with
mean,
those Colts team?
yeah, DeForest Buckner, he's a good interior defensive lineman, and I feel like he can be a guy that can kind of like he's not Aaron Donald, but he can be like Aaron Donald and wreck a game. I think very highly of him. I almost forgot that he was with the Colts because the only person that really grabbed a lot of attention these last couple of weeks was Shaq Leonard, and they had cut him. So, but DeForest Buckner is a guy that can wreck a game from the interior side of the ball, and he can also be a piece that can move around too. So and that's my thing. The reason why I put the concern levels more on the defense instead of the offense, while we love how Jake Browning performed in the offense in and of itself, looked like they played one of their most complete games. You do have to reserve some energy about thinking that they're going to do it again because you are thinking that there's going to be some regression. They're going to turn right back to a pumpkin again. Although I did like what Jake Brown said about him not understanding that that can be the case and working hard to make sure that that's not the case. You can say whatever, man, but at the end of the day, man, this league is a week to week league too. So I don't expect the offense to put up those gaudy numbers again this coming week. I feel like that they're going to be in it for another dogfight. But you got to watch out, man, for that interior pressure, man, because the Colts, again, that front four, they can wreck the game pretty quickly for you. And it ain't just DeForest Buckner, it's Quiddy Pay too.
Yeah, I I do have concerns about our offensive guards. Have been a little bit of a weak spot for us, over the course of this year. You're right on, nail on the head there. If they get if they get some pressure up the middle of the field, not something we want to see our backup quarterback have to deal with. Um, Talking about the continue to learn, continue to do those things. Like it seemed like every time they panned over after a drive or whatever, and went over to show Jake Browning on the sideline, sitting there with Joe Burrow, going over the Google pad, taking a look at everything, and then you saw the memes, I'm sure, clips of the Browns game, Deshaun Watson sitting up in the
Yeah.
stands, not paying much attention, sunglasses on, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. Big difference between those two quarterbacks. I know which one I would like to give the bag to.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did the right thing, man. We got blessed with that one for sure. Tim, I'm going to throw it over to you now. Biggest opportunities and your biggest concern coming up against these here Indianapolis Colts.
So I'm not going to change my narrative. My narrative's been the same thing all year long: is run the damn football. This week against the Colts, I believe running the damn football is going to pay off for us because last week they allowed Derrick Henry to run for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Actually, I'm sorry, 2 touchdowns. So
I
I
was about to say
think,
2 touchdowns, wasn't it?
yeah, it was 2 touchdowns. I'm sorry. So I think the biggest opportunity, and I think we need to keep running the football, pounding the rock. You know, I'm not going to see, just like I agree with Justin, we're not going to get those gaudy numbers again next week or this week. I'm sorry. But one thing I did love, the thing that Jake the Snake Browning said was, "I'm not going to plateau. I'm going to keep rising." So there's that for him. My biggest concern is the Indianapolis Colts, believe it or not, are second in the NFL in sacks. That being said, as long as we're mixing up the run and the pass, keeping them guessing, keeping them on their toes, just like we did against Jacksonville, you know, we should be able to keep the defense from being a bunch of wild dogs. Last week, last week the Indianapolis Colts had 6 sacks the last game. 6. And like I said, they lead the league, or I'm sorry, they're second in the league. Oh my goodness. They're second in the league in sacks overall. So I believe if we can keep running the ball, keep them on their toes, mixing it up, disguising, put Jamar Chase in slots, giving them different views of the run game. Maybe get Chase back in there again. Run the football. I think we'll be okay. But like I said, though, is my biggest concern is is their pass defense. The rush defense. They're okay. But they did allow Derrick. It is Derrick Henry, and I know Joe Mixon's not Derrick Henry. But if we can keep pounding the football, I think we'd be promising.
I like that. I like both of those. I think you're going to see a little bit of a mash here with my outlook on this of what both of you said, looking at it with a little bit of a different spin. My concern with us on defense, tight end, I've been beating that drum for weeks now. I'm tired of talking about it. Figure it out. Change what you're doing. Scheme something else up. Put somebody else out there. I don't care what it is. Guard a tight end. But I am concerned. Minshew is, we talk about Minshew magic, Minshew mania. Minshew's a character in his own right. My concern is when he gets off the spot, when he scrambles out of the pocket and does off schedule things. We've got some youngsters playing in our defensive backfield right now with Dax Hill, with Turner, with Battle, with those guys. Can they stay disciplined and realize what they're doing when they go off schedule? Because every team's got this, kind of have a playbook in your mind of, okay, if he rolls right, this is where we go. This is what we do. Can they read it and react to it quickly and stop the big plays on those kind of rollouts or scramble, keeping that play alive kind of plays? When it comes to the opportunity, I'm going to go back to the past 5 weeks. Saints, 161. Panthers, 138. Patriots, 167. Buccaneers, 155. Titans, 177. Tim, say it for me.
Run the damn football. Is that what you're going to tell me?
That's it. That's it, brother. You're giving up on average over 150 yards to some pretty abysmal teams in here. Like, this isn't the creme de la creme of the league. Some pedestrian running games out there that they're giving up some yardage to. So run the ball, stay ahead of the chains, and I think we're going to see good things coming out of that offense. So, Justin, anything you want to add to that before we go to break?
I like that you brought up the gauntlet of teams that they went through, because while their 7-5 record is deemed as respectable, which is why I don't feel like that they're a power hungry team that really is going to ultimately land in that wild card spot in the end when it's all said and done, because they're not playing top heavy teams. They're not playing teams that and giving them big time fights. They've only really had one real good win this season, and that was against Baltimore earlier in the season. And you can attribute that to like really good fortune for them, because the Ravens should have kind of came away with that win. It was a lot of drop passes from the Ravens receivers and all that stuff. I'm not making any excuses. They got the win, and I was happy about it because it helped us Bengals fans out. But nonetheless, man, I think that the Colts, while I like what Shane Steichen has done with that team, he sort of rejuvenated that energy with that offense and whatnot. It does feel like that they're still on the brink of finding out what they have with their roster of guys. They have some talent there, but not enough talent there. So at the end of the day, I love that you brought up those numbers, because I'm going to echo what both of you said, and that the key to success with this game is running the ball.
Yep.
Yeah. And I wanted to call these guys, those 5 teams there, pedestrian. I didn't want to call them trash because we got throttled by the Titans. That's another story. All that said, we're going to take a quick break right now, pay some bills. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Pod, Google Pod, wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead, subscribe right now, share us with a friend, rate, review. You got 2 minutes to get those 5-star reviews in, go ahead and do that. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up and share us with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Keep that support going. We love seeing it every week. We're growing. Every month we're growing. We appreciate you supporting us. We'll be right back after this break. All right. Welcome back, Bengals fans. Running through the jungle here. Your host, Brandon Herriott, Justin Lacey, and Tim Lyons. We appreciate your support. Don't forget our boy Chase Younts, Cut to the Chase. You go over and check him out. If you haven't heard yet what we had to say about the last game, because we did wait until a day late to give our roaring reactions, Coach's Cliff Notes, check that out. We're here every week, doing some things. We got some new shows in the mix for the off season. I've also going to have some upgrades with some new things that I'm going to be trying to pull off on production side. So good things coming down the pipe here at Run Through the Jungle. When we do it all for you guys, we appreciate your support. So let's get down to what everybody likes. Game ball predictions. The score predictions are here too, but for some reason, man, I get more chatter and more comments about the game ball predictions. They're kind of fun though. I do like. Lacey got Jordan Battle right last week. We're gonna have to hear about that again.
Jake Browning. I got Jake Browning right.
Oh, Jake Browning. Okay.
Yeah. I got Jordan Battle wrong. I picked DJ.
I got Joe Mixon right this week.
Okay. So listen, last week, Tim, you didn't take Jordan Battle, and we all gave him the game ball. So if you'd like to not take him again, so he plays well, that'd be great. Okay. Listen, Tim, you're over there in the top corner. We're going to flip it over to you. Let's get your offensive game ball and defensive game ball. We'll save the score predictions. What you got for us?
You know what? I'm going to go with my offensive game ball first. I'm going to give it to Joe Mixon. He's going to have 100 yards total, 2 touchdowns. Let's go. Run the ball. Run the damn ball.
Multiple touchdown game back to back. That would be a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir. And then for my defensive game ball, last week I went with Mike Hilton. I like Mike Hilton. He's like that pit bull out there looking for tackle for losses. Mike Hilton's going to be my game ball again this week. He's going to be out there looking for tackle for losses.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it. Justin, we're going to throw it over to you. What do you see out there for your game balls, offensive and defensive, my friend?
So I'm going to start with defense first. And I think that my defensive game ball, surprisingly, is going to be DJ Reader for me. And the reason why I go with that is because with Jonathan Taylor being injured, being out with an injury himself, Zach Moss has stepped in and performed admirably well for the Colts for their rushing attack. And I think DJ Reader has the perfect opportunity to neutralize him by himself. I mean, you got BJ Hill along with them too, but he's going to be my prediction to get the game ball for the defense side of the ball. And he might end up surprising us and getting the sack himself too.
He had 6 tackles last week too.
He
played well last week.
But yeah, for some reason he keeps flying under the radar, and people think that it's because he's in the last year of his deal, and we might not bring him back. Man, forget all of that. I think that DJ Reader is primed to have a big time game, and it happens this week. For offense, I know it's probably tempting to put a running back on that slate for offensive game ball predictions. I also think it's very tempting to go with Jake Brown and based off what he did. And my tagline even says on here, Jake Feisty supporter, because I am very much in support of what he did so far and how he stepped up. But I'm actually going to go with Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd, for as much criticism as he's been getting this season as far as drops go, obviously the interception that he's thrown to in that trick play, he still needs to have that game to where he can just go out there and show that I'm still the vet and the big dog on this team too. I'm still big bro. Everybody's talking about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. We love those guys, and those guys can pop off too. And I think T. Higgins could actually be the guy to do it. But I'm surprisingly going to go with Tyler Boyd. He is my out of the blue prediction to get offensive game ball. And as far as my score prediction, I think we're going to be in for another dogfight, but I'm going to lean towards obviously the Bengals winning, but it's going to be more or less along the game of if people remember that game when Andy Dalton played against, I can't even remember who the quarterback. It wasn't Andrew Luck in 2017 because Luck was out with an injury. I can't even remember who was the quarterback, but the Bengals won, and it was Carlos Dunlap's strip sack fumble or interception that returned for a touchdown that sealed the win. I think the score was maybe 27-20, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Bengals do something similar to that. I'm going to go with 24 to 14. 14, 24, 14, 24, 17. I'm going to stick with 24-17.
Are you sure?
24-17. I wrote the 14 in pen, but I'll scribble it out. That's fine.
I had to do the same thing.
All right. So I'm gonna go offensive game ball. I'm gonna start off with offensive game ball. And if I tell you, I said we gotta run the ball, we gotta run the ball, we gotta run the ball. But what did I say? If you didn't catch us, you gotta look us up on our Roaring Reactions. What did I say on the Roaring Reactions? Why we gotta run the ball? Because we stopped them from peeling the ears back. We stopped them from running stunts, getting pressure on the quarterback up the middle in the space. And we get them in what? Single high safety.
Yep.
So if I tell you 12 catches and 160 yards and a tutty, you already know who it is. Only one guy I think bad enough right now to do that on our team. No, he's a little banged up. He's got that ability as well. But I'm telling you, Jamar Chase going to have another game. We're going to keep seeing some of those screen passes, I think, early, kind of build that that confidence for Jake Browning. I like the way they're doing that. So I think some of those catches early are short passes, but I think he may be able to break one here. I like him for having a big game here again. I don't expect Jake Browning to go 32 or 37 again, so that's the reason why I'm not giving it to him. But I'm going to go Jamar Chase. And then on defensive side of the game, Minshew likes to keep, like I said, he likes to keep plays alive. He does some interesting decision making. He got sacked 6 times last week against the Titans. I don't like the way he holds the ball like a loaf of bread sometimes. So 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Trey Hendrickson.
Yes. I love it.
They're going to get my game ball.
That's
better
music
not
to my
adjust
ears right
anything.
there.
So that's where I'm going with those. Tim, what's your score prediction for this Colts Bengals game?
My score prediction, I already have it written down, is 24-21, the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like it. Here's another thing that Minshew does a lot. Bengals have been consistently all year in the top 5 in turnover ratio. I don't expect that to change. I think they're going to have some chances here to be opportunistic with Minshew. Like I said, I think they're going to get a fumble. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 1 or 2 picks as well. Because of that, I think they keep their scoring down. I'm going 28-17 Bengals. I think the Bengals will I think they'll be able to handle this one. And we're sitting here at 6-6, 5 games left. Fun stat for you. I know, listen, I've been the leader of curve your expectations. Leader of it. I don't expect to make the playoffs. I just want to have a winning record. That's where I've been since we lost Joe Burrow. But we got 5 games left, and 4 of those teams are also starting their backup quarterbacks. I'm saying, man, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting run on the way out. So there's a lot of injuries out there. There's a lot of things going on, and the table's set for us where we have a pretty even playing field with 4 of the 5 teams we're going to play.
Right. I agree. And quite frankly, I just think that a lot of these people are telling us that these teams' record, they all have a winning record. But again, you got to add some context to their record. It's not the old Bill Parcells, statement of you are what your record says you are. Again, you just listed the Colts early in the show. You just listed the last few teams that the Colts have played, and those are middle of the pack, below average teams. It feels like that they're just getting scrapping and getting away with wins. They should have lost last week against the. Actually, no, they did lose last week against the Titans. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
They did lose last week
Yeah.
against. Did they? Okay, I'm sorry. I almost got that tripped up a little bit.
No.
They're in these
Colts won
dogfights with these.
31-28.
Yeah, Colts won.
Oh, Colts won.
They should
Well,
have.
then my message still stands out. They should have lost last week against the Titans, and they're playing these other teams where it's like, yeah, they look scrappy and they look like the up dogs in here, but like at the end of the day, I don't buy into the Colts at all as far as a team that I'm taking seriously as a playoff contending team. To ones that what a playoff contending team to me is but if you have the 5, 6, or 7 seed, you have the potential to go on the road to the prospective 2 through 4 seeds and pull off an upset victory. That's not the Indianapolis Colts to me. It's not. It didn't even be the Bengals either because we still got Jake Browning starting right now. And while we like how he's playing, you never know if he's going to turn back into a pumpkin to where it's like, oh, okay, we got a little too high on Monday night. But if he does perform that encore like we think that he could these next few weeks, who's to say that he can't make noise in the playoffs and win a playoff game at the very least? But at the end of the day, I think the Bengals, the gauntlet is set up for them to be able to take advantage of it, and they just finally got to do it.
Yeah, I don't need him to be 32 of 37. I need him to be
Right.
22 of 28. That's what I need.
Yeah. Just be efficient.
Be efficient, manage the game, and when they go in single high, make them pay.
Yep.
Make them pay. Throw it deep.
Mhm.
Like Joe said it best. Jamar's down there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really think we brought up some good takes. I will say this. I'm going to plug a little bit another one here. I'll run it through Jungle channel on the Fans First Sports Network. If you have any ties to gambling or like to do a little bit of putting some ducats or shillings down on some football, you should check out Pay Dirt. One of the things we've looked at and talked about in Pay Dirt, everybody loses their mind because the Eagles are 10-1, and then all of a sudden they're home dogs. Same thing. Look at who they beat last year. Look at who they beat this year. They're not playing San Francisco. So San Francisco, they're home dogs against San Francisco. What happens? San Francisco throttles them. What's going on this week? They're going to Dallas. Dallas favored by 3.5.
I like Dallas, kind of.
I do too. I don't like that half point. I gotta be honest with you.
I don't either. I don't either. 2.5 meant more, but I'm still not. I'm
2.5 would be great. I'm on the wrong side of that hook. I'm telling you. But that's the thing. I really get analytical into who these guys are playing. When they started doing the number one division winners start playing the other division winners, and the twos play the twos and the threes play the. That changed a lot of things, man. If you're in that 3 spot or that 4 spot, and you're only a quarterback away, you're only a piece or two away, and you make that change, you're playing a lot of trash teams. If you're in a trash division, ask Tom Brady. If you're in a trash division for 10 years, yeah, it's pretty good to look great, I feel like they're playing the Commanders, they're playing the Giants, like they're picking on people out here, right? So
Right.
as you get in and start playing some tougher teams, you got to see what you're made of. So we already played our tough teams earlier in the year. The only team we got that looks on paper that looks any better than us is Kansas City.
Yep.
And I don't know which Kansas City I'm gonna get every week.
Yeah, same. I don't think that they might even be the team that I'm not going to bet the game or anything like that, but I will not be surprised if Buffalo goes into Kansas City and beats them again. They did it last year. Buffalo, they have to rebound at some point. They might beat them. So with that being said, who knows? I agree with you. This is such a week-to-week league, man. And as far as our division games left on the schedule, the Bengals know that they're 0-4 in the AFC North, and they cannot lose no more division games, especially against Pittsburgh and Cleveland. those are two teams you're going to be butting in for those wild card spots too. You got to win those games. So I think they know that, and we'll cross those bridges when we do. But first things first, Indy, you're on the dock up next. You're coming to the jungle, and you better be ready to freaking rock, bro, because we ain't stopping. And just because we ain't got our franchise guy out there, we still showed you on Monday Night Football that we're still one of the big dogs, even without our top guy on the field. So I hope the Colts are ready for it. I like to think that they will be, but they got to go out there and prove it big time now.
I hope they're not ready for it. I'd like to be on the other end of a throttle this year. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tim, you got a parting shots before we get out of here?
Happy Hump Day. Who Day.
I'm gonna tell you, if you ever check us out, check me out over on Steel Curtain Network or France First Sport Network when we do the Homies podcast on Fridays. Have a lot of fun on there, and that's where this whole "Be Dirt" moniker came from. I started doing people dirty. I'm not gonna do it on that show because I've already done this guy dirty on that show, I think twice. Jim Irsay cutting Shaq Leonard while he was in the delivery room holding his child is one of the most disgusting things I think I've ever heard. And that's pretty low, even for Jim Irsay. So for Shaq Leonard, I'd like to go out there, thump these guys, and just talk trash about how a piece of crap human being Jim Irsay is.
It's a damn shame. That's a damn shame. And he still went out there and delivered turkeys even after getting cut too.
Yeah, man. I just I don't understand. I just can't. I just can't. Who would want to coach the Colts? Who would want to coach the Carolina Panthers and play for Tepper? Like these guys, like trash owners. Man, I can't stand them. Can't stand them. For that reason, along with a bunch of other ones. Who Dey, go run the score up on the Colts. Until next week, root on our Bengals. Check out our other shows. And then catch us here next week as we are running through the jungle.